Oh, yeah. Hello, gamers, and welcome to Xbot and Pony, the show where every week we just geek out about whatever's going on in the world of video games. My name is Phil.
My name is Nick.
And to be honest, this week's been a bit of a slow one, so I think we may struggle to come up with some topics. Nick, what do you reckon? Top 10 PS2 games we should remake?
Yeah, that's not bad.
I'm struggling. What else? Anything big happen?
No, not really. Not really. It's a little bit hot in here. I'm just 1 second.
Woo! I salute that. You've been planning that for hours.
I have.
Did you make it yourself? Did you go out and buy it? Did you order it especially? Oh. Even better.
I just had an Xbox sticker on my PC, and I'm like, I know I have a Bethesda shirt somewhere. I have a Bethesda shirt somewhere. I do. Went searching for it, found it.
I salute you, sir. That was impressive. I did not see that coming.
So, yeah.
All right. So, yes, obviously the big talk of the town is that Bethesda has been purchased by Xbox, which I don't think any of us saw coming. That was just a megaton explosion to hit the gaming world.
Yeah.
So, Nick, how are you feeling about it?
Well, we heard this a while back, and we just kind of joked and laughed, like, "Oh, that'd be cool." But no one really took it serious, did we? Like, I didn't think it was possible. I knew it was financially possible. I didn't think it would happen. And there's a few little things around it that make it really strange. Obviously, they have a history there, Skyrim and all the other shooters back in the day on DOS and stuff like that. So there's a long history there. But the weirdest thing is two games are timed exclusive to PlayStation 5 at the moment. And yeah, so you got Sony going around and buying up timed exclusives. Final Fantasy, massive, huge get. Apparently they were trying to get Starfield for 12 months. And Microsoft said, okay, we will just own them. We'll just own them. You can get as many timed as you want. We'll just own them.
Well, I mean, there are different strategies here. You could, step one, try and innovate and come up with your own games. Or step two, just buy the industry. That works
exactly. Too. It works. I mean, it works. Why not? You got the money. You're a trillion dollar company.
Yeah.
It takes too long to build a company and from the scratch. We know that. I mean, how many new development studios has Sony or Nintendo themselves really created in the last decade? Not many. That you could count them on one hand. Most studios are bought. Sony did create most of their studios back in the day, but since then they've just been buying studios. They recently got Insomniac, which was a really good buy. And then they picked up the Sunset Overdrive IP from Microsoft. They purchased that from Microsoft. So it's not like they weren't, or they're not trying to build their developers.
Of course.
And it's a massive buy. It's a massive get. It's a huge get. I don't
know
why.
What does this mean for the world moving forward then? Right. So obviously I think it's difficult because obviously this is brand new. This has only just happened. And from where I stand, I'm assuming that they haven't actually made any big decisions completely yet. So they don't know what's going to go where and when, if it will go to other consoles, because it's still fresh.
Yeah.
But what could this mean for the industry moving forward, in your opinion?
Well, I've been going back and forth. I'm thinking timed exclusive. Some will go to PlayStation, some will go here, some will go there. I've now come to probably the biggest. I'm pretty confident that Sony will not get anything. They won't even get scraps. They'll get nothing.
Okay. Why do you think that?
I think they're playing coy at the moment because to buy this and then say, "Oh, we're taking it away from you," that's bad press. It should be good press. So case by case basis, they'll fall back later on and say, "Elder Scrolls Online, we have Minecraft. That's already there. We're sharing that." I think everything will be fully exclusive to the Xbox market, which is Android, PC, and consoles. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is Android actually makes up majority of the console business. It's a bigger pie money wise, and then PC adds to that. So if you add PC and mobile to it, the consoles are a very small percentage of where software sales come. So yeah, you don't spend 7.5 billion to then make your teams put time and resources. Doesn't matter, because that costs money. So it's cost money to make games for PlayStation. Then you've got to give PlayStation 30% of every single copy sold. So why is Spider-Man on Xbox? Is Sunset Overdrive 2 going to be on Xbox? Yeah. Sony was going around buying timed exclusives to keep everything away from Microsoft. $7.5 billion is a lot of money. You would only pay that if you wanted them exclusive. If you wanted them on Game Pass day one, you could probably do that for a quarter of the cost. You could probably do that for $1 billion. You probably could. You could probably give them $1 billion and they'd put them into Game Pass day one for Xbox. Why wouldn't it? They only sold 35 to 40 million consoles last gen. So my opinion, doesn't mean it's right. They will announce one game at a time. That every time they announce it, it's a big bombshell. Elder Scrolls, Xbox only. Starfield, Xbox only. And every time it's a bombshell and a hit to Sony where they get nothing. And it just, put it this way. Do you want to allow PlayStation owners to go and spend $70 and buy a game where you're getting a very small fraction of it and Sony is getting the money as well? Or do you want to force them to come over and buy an Xbox console and Game Pass? You want them to buy an Xbox console and Game Pass. You don't want them to buy anything for your competitor.
I get it.
The best analogy I can come up with is KFC isn't giving Popeyes the 11 herbs and spices anytime soon. They're not. You don't give your competitor
that's a good
anything.
comparison. I like it.
And Cuphead and Ori have gone to Switch. We know that. Those studios are independent. They are not owned by Microsoft. They were published. Those games were published and funded by Microsoft, but the studios are still independent. Every studio Microsoft has bought, they've honored the current deals, which is great. They should. There's probably a contract thing where they couldn't anyway, but they should. But they've come out and said Outer Worlds 2 will not be on PlayStation. Psychonauts 3 will not be on PlayStation. So I think that trend will follow. I know these franchises are massive. Doom, Wolfenstein, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Dishonored, Evil Within, Prey. And Arcane's just announced that they are making another AAA game. All of those will be exclusive to Xbox and in Game Pass day one, and PlayStation owners will just have to buy an Xbox or a PC or an Android phone.
Looks like that's the way forward, eh? Yes,
well, they have options. They don't have to buy an Xbox. You don't. You can buy a PC. You can just stream it on your phone. So that's my opinion. We'll leave it at that because we don't know. We don't know yet. But if that is the case,
we don't know.
And your original question is the implications are nobody can say Xbox doesn't have games anymore. I think they have too many.
They just got to actually release
How
them.
am I going to play all these exclusives? I don't have time.
Yeah, no. So it's obviously a major move, and it's a good thing. Like in terms, good acquisition. It's certainly going to bring people over. I mean, the timing was pretty impressive that they announced this. What was it? 24 hours before the pre-orders went up. So that was calculated.
Sony did do the same. They announced it 2 hours before the pre-orders. Like, here's Final Fantasy exclusive. Oh, pre-orders live. So they did their showcase. So both companies have copied each other.
Of course.
Microsoft's just dropped a bombshell. Like, we used to wait for the Nintendo Megatons, and Microsoft beat Nintendo to it, I think, because
it did.
It's a
Megaton.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's huge, and it changes the playing field to. I think I need an Xbox now, or I need Game Pass now. And you're going to get people out there that don't want Game Pass. They don't want to subscribe to a subscription. They don't want to not physically own something. So maybe they will buy an Xbox console and the physical disc just because they want to play Elder Scrolls. I mean, there's millions and millions of sales there. It's, and for Sony to be going after Starfield and now they might not even get it at all. Like, they'd have to be pretty annoyed now. And the big thing is, Phil has come out and said we have over 23 studios. So there's rumors going around that they've already bought someone else and they haven't announced it yet. We don't know who. It won't be this big. I'd say to be a smaller company, but I'm thinking
the buzz this week was Sega, right?
There'd be a deal. I think there's a deal. I think something's hinting with Sega, and there's going to be some sort of deal with Game Pass, maybe with Sega. But I don't think they're going to buy Sega. I don't see it. If they'll buy someone, maybe Capcom. I think Sony will probably try buy Konami. But there's laws in place where both of them can't go out and just buy everything either. It's a monopoly, and this isn't a monopoly, by the way. They've just bought one company with 8 studios. It's not a monopoly. So it's huge, and we won't know for a few years. Obviously, these games aren't coming out tomorrow. Again, it's still down the track, but it's a step in the right direction, and it forces Sony to be more aggressive. And
it does.
You know,
they'll have to make a big move now.
Or
be willing to negotiate.
They're going a little bit PS3 here. $70 games, $70 first-person games. Spider-Man is locked behind $125 Miles thing. The only way to get Spider-Man remastered, and I know we discussed this before and you didn't think it was possible, but there's no free upgrades. And they can push, there's new this, and we build it from the ground up. No, you didn't. It's just a remaster. Xbox, Cyberpunk, they're all doing the same thing, and they're free. So Sony are getting a little bit money hungry, and so they will. They're market leader. They should. They should say, hey, this is how it is. Blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty confident they'll change their tune in the future, and hopefully be a little bit more consumer friendly in the money area. They're not at launch. They're definitely not at launch. $70, everything, no option to upgrade if you own Spider-Man PS4. So yeah, they're not copying Microsoft down to the T, but it changes the playing field.
It does.
It just changes the playing field.
It does. So just trying to flip it around, sort of trying to look at from the Sony fans' perspective. So obviously this last week, there's been a lot of upset people. Obviously they feel like they're losing these major franchises that they've spent up many, many years playing and getting to know. Fallout's obviously been around for years, and it was on the PS3 and PC before then, obviously. Doom and Wolfenstein, all these franchises that people feel that
so long.
Yeah, and it didn't matter what system you were into, you got to play those games, right? And you and I have discussed this privately as well, this idea that I don't think people are seeing the fact that Xbox have got these exclusives now as a problem. I think it's more that it's series and franchises that everyone got to enjoy for a long time and potentially now are going to be locked behind one system. Switch got to enjoy Doom and Wolfenstein and all that, and Skyrim and all these games
as well. Switch has the Marvel Alliance game, which is pretty harsh. And I still believe Spider-Man shouldn't be. I know Sony owns it, but I mean, and that's the perfect example. Spider-Man.
I agree with you on that one. I think we agree on that one even.
And it's iconic. He's such a huge character, and they double dipped and went Spider-Man exclusive in Avengers. So they play hardball, Sony. They have been for years. They did.
I'm not denying that, man. And I think you and I are on the same page with this. Something big like that, probably everyone should get to enjoy that. Someone should get to. Everyone should get to enjoy Spider-Man.
Like I said before, you can't just let your competitor have something, but there's got to be. Again, this is another wild theory, but what if Microsoft just send a little email away and say, "Do you want Elder Scrolls? We want Spider-Man."
Maybe
they could. I mean, and it's not like they don't talk to each other. They are against.
Put God of War on Game Pass and we'll talk.
Timed exclusive. You're not going to swap franchises and that, but they could say, "Hey, we will give you 3 franchises just if you allow us to have Spider-Man." Timed, obviously timed 12 months to Sony, and then it comes to Xbox. Especially in Avengers. I mean, that should be the first thing. They should say, we'll give you a couple of these games if you let Spider-Man come to Avengers on Xbox. I mean, they probably won't. They probably don't care. I mean, their main priority is their customers, not Sony's customers. But they got some negotiating power, so to speak, because like you said, these are massive franchises that have existed back before we were playing consoles. Like Doom is... It's one of my favorite games.
I mean, Wolfenstein's like the first big FPS, right? It's iconic. Everybody knows this, and potentially now being locked away behind the Microsoft brand. I think that might be more what's upsetting people rather than the fact that they've got exclusives from these studios.
If the shoe was on the other foot, I'd be devastated right now. id Software is one of my favorite developers.
And I think I would actually be on your side. I really would. I said, actually, that's not cool. Like, you can't do that to people. The one that you and I always talk about is Tomb Raider, right? The second one, Rise of the Tomb Raider, right? A few years ago, where that ended up. I know the messaging wasn't great anyway.
But that was the issue. It was the messaging.
Yeah. Whereas people thought it had been taken away from Sony, and it was only going to be on Microsoft.
It wasn't. It was a deal.
I was going to say people lost their mind because they thought this franchise that's been with Sony for years,
Yeah.
and obviously it appeared elsewhere as well. I know it was on PC and Saturn and all sorts of other places.
Yeah.
But this idea that something that the core fans were used to on a certain system was being taken away, that really upset them, and they got a lot of backlash. And assuming that that's what's happening here, is these series that various players got to enjoy on certain systems are now going to have that denied, and they're going to have to buy a new one in order to access it. I can see why people are upset.
Model, though, right? But that is the business model. I mean, that's why Sony has Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, that's it works.
You have to buy a PlayStation to play Spider-Man. There's no other option. You can't even buy a PC. You have to buy a PlayStation. That's why there's 120 million PS4s out there, and that number will probably keep rising. I think they'll still selling PS4s. So that's why Microsoft has done this, in my opinion. And Tomb Raider, they probably should have been just clear. I don't know why they're not. It was a bit like Bayonetta. I mean, he's just plain blatant and obvious with people. If you want Bayonetta on PlayStation or Xbox 2, 3, talk to Nintendo. They paid for it. This game wouldn't exist because they funded it. Tomb Raider 2 was the same. Microsoft funded it. They had their funding cut, and they said, no, we're not going to finish this game. It won't make us enough money. And Microsoft said, well, give it to us for 12 months. They didn't just give money. They actually had their dev teams come in and help with that game. So they help with development and they help with costs. They should have just been honest and said, we help with development, we help with costs. This is why it's here exclusives, because we want to sell a few of our consoles.
Exclusive for a while. Yeah.
And we're not trying to take it away from PlayStation owners. We just want PlayStation owners to come buy an Xbox. And that's all the deal was. It wasn't, hey, we have an opportunity here to steal this. They were desperate to get the game out, and that was the only way to do it. It was just weird because there was no communication and it was handled poorly, I think, in a PR sort of way. And you're right, it's a franchise that was everywhere, and these franchises are everywhere. So, and there's others. Final Fantasy was on Nintendo, and Sony took that, and it's happened in the past, but nothing to this magnitude with so many studios being bought at once. That's the thing. There's, Evil Within, Prey, Doom, Starfield, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Wolfenstein, Dishonored, Quake, Commander Keen. There's others as well. There's a lot of franchises that people are going to be hurt. So.
No, I get it. I do get it. The other question that pops into my head is obviously Bethesda's actually been quite friendly with Nintendo and Switch. And I'm curious to see if that would carry on, and maybe if that's the other way around it, where they're going to go, okay, these games are not going to appear on PlayStation, but they will on Switch 6 months or a year later.
I believe Microsoft, again, it wasn't first party, but they did allow these games to go to Switch. They didn't. I mean, Cuphead has gone to PS4, which is interesting.
That surprised me. Yeah,
and that's Microsoft saying yes too, because they did fund that game. So there's a glimmer of hope for Sony fans, and me and you have said it all the time. Regardless of how bad Xbox was this generation, if you don't own all three consoles, you're missing out on something, and that's just how it is. This whole I have to be dedicated to one box is very silly. You should prefer a box. It's just a plastic box. You should prefer one that you like more than the others. But if you want to experience all the games that are up the top here, the AAA games, you need to own all three. And that's how it's been for a while, and that's how it's going to continue to be for a while by the looks of it. So
you and I are old men. We've just seen this played out
over and over.
NES and Mega Drive at one point, and then GameCube and PlayStation 2 and PS3 and 360. Like, it's just over and over.
I was like all the ponies and Xbox. I was such a Nintendo fanboy that I hated PlayStation, and I don't hate PlayStation anymore, but I did back then. I was a young, stupid teenager, and I hated PlayStation. And then Xbox came out, and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. It's got online, and now I gravitate more towards Xbox than I do Nintendo. So I've kind of changed allegiances. So you can't commit yourself to a corporation. They only care about your wallet. The loyalty I see to a corporation or a box is silly. Play the games you enjoy. Play them on any box. It doesn't matter what it is. Enjoy them and have fun.
And now we can't play them on my box.
Well, there's adapters out there. I've got one that allows me to use my Xbox controller on the PS4.
You know what, man? Like, just to finish off here, like, there's no doubt this is a power move, and Microsoft
market.
are not going to not exploit it. Of course they are. Like, they wouldn't invest that kind of money
It's too much money
without expecting to make a significant amount of money back. Of course, there are
and
going to be some of these games that are exclusive.
yeah,
But
the narrative.
I also don't see them not making money elsewhere. Right?
Yes.
There's going to be an opportunity to release those games on the Switch or
Well,
even on PlayStation, and they're going to make at least some money off of it. Whether it's going to be everything, probably not.
No.
No, and it might be anything that's in production over the next year. Maybe that will still be, multi-plat.
Yeah.
But anything beyond that, yeah, probably it will be full exclusive or very timed.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
one thing we didn't mention is Game Pass has surged with 5 million new subscribers in the last month.
Yeah. So not bad, eh?
I think EA, I know we're not the biggest EA fans, but that being added to Game Pass, now all the Bethesda titles, Game Pass day one, you don't need to go spend $60 or 70, whatever they're going to be, American. I think Game Pass will hit 20 million very soon. And people don't realize in 12 months, that's, you're getting upwards of $3 billion in 12 months. So in 5 years, they'll make back this money. And
oh yeah, for sure.
They're probably happy to wait 10 years. That they're not playing the short game here. They don't need to make this money back. They're not looking at their bank account and going, "Oh shit, what have we done?" Like we do when we make a silly purchase. They could go buy the whole industry if they wanted to. So they'll take their time. They'll, like Phil said twice now, case by case basis. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Personally, I think the big ones will stay exclusive. The smaller ones, honestly, the one that can't be exclusive, Wolfenstein can't. It's a full story game, and it ends on a cliffhanger each time. That will be anti-consumer. The others, they're separate entities. They're separate things. There's no story there. Maybe Evil Within. They're probably two that possibly could appear on PlayStation 5, in my opinion. Maybe timed, but yeah, the others I think will be full exclusive to Xbox, Android, and PC.
Time will tell, eh?
Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. All right, then, guys. What do you think? Is this how has this changed your view on gaming over the next? What's going to happen to the industry with Microsoft buying Bethesda? Do you think they're still going to allow some of the crumbs to go to other consoles, or are they going to hoard them all themselves? Let us know below in the comments.
Yeah, has this changed your opinion? Were you PlayStation? Now do you go, hang on, Game Pass and Xbox looks a little bit enticing now. I have to play Elder Scrolls. I guess we'll have to wait until exclusive or not, but I've seen a few people say
Amazon Luna. I want Amazon.
Let me stream everything. See you guys.